It is our pleasure today to be joined by Tech Hall of Famer Bobby Aillet. He was a player at Tech. He was a wonderful engineer, North Louisiana, mainly in Shreveport, and he was a lead official. The head umpire is what Sam says, to just be joking around. Our old friend Sam Wilson, Mr. Bobby. He was a lead official for years and years. We'll talk to him about some bowl games and some whole bunch of Tech stuff. Let's start off with talking about one of your favorite subjects, which is your dad, because Joe Aillet Stadium, of course, that's named after your father, and he went to the Hall of Fame down in Holy Cross this fall. Tell us what that experience was like for you and your sister to go down there.
It was a great experience, Teddy. It was really out of the blue. It brought some instances in Daddy's life to mind that we were not thoroughly aware of. This was in his early years, and he matriculated from the little community of Youngsville and went
over by Opelousas?
South of Lafayette.
Okay.
Yes, and he went to Holy Cross at a boarding school in New Orleans as a youngster, and stayed there and ended up graduating from Holy Cross in 1923. Okay. So that he spent his time in New Orleans under those conditions.
Now, he's a Louisiana Sports Hall of Famer as well. Coached the Bulldogs from 40 to 66. He coached 15 seasons. He coached golf, and they won the league 10 times. He won 9 or 10 football championships. And, of course, again, the stadium's named after him. The short version of your dad's getting to Holy Cross was he was in New York, rode the orphan train to around Opelousas or Lafayette or somewhere. Right. A priest had picked him out, and a nice lady named Miss Aillet raised him. That's the short version?
That's the short version. Father Roguet was a priest at Youngsville, and he was not able to adopt Daddy due to church regulations. Mrs. Aillet was his home housekeeper, and she took him in and raised him.
It's a fascinating
story. As part of her work.
Miss Eliza Aillet?
Eliza. Eliza.
Is how they say it down there.
Eliza.
Bless her heart.
Right. So he came up in that neighborhood, and Father Roguet guided him all along.
Mercy.
And that's how he ended up at Holy Cross, because he knew of their provisions for youngsters.
I guess he had something to do too with getting him over to St. Edward's in Austin. Probably.
Yes, followed up at St. Edward's after he finished at Holy Cross.
He played all sports. He got his and here's something weird. He got his bachelor's at USL, which everybody at Tech hates, and then he actually graduated from LSU. Everybody at Tech hates or thinks they hate. So that's weird. But then he brought all that to Ruston and dug in for 26 years, and we did a lot of good for the Bulldogs.
Yes. Well, he went. From USL, he went to Haynesville
for 8 or 9 years while he got his graduate degree.
Yeah, he was doing that while he's getting his graduate degree at LSU.
Where in Ruston did y'all grow up? Where was y'all's house at?
The last was on Duboc Street, which is just off of Highway 80 on the east side of town.
That's the house you remember the most?
Yeah.
Him and Hoss Garrett, what was their relationship like?
They had a good relationship, although they were two different type of people.
Yes.
I mean, they were different.
Like Hoss, Dr. Garrett, Hoss Garrett, of course, is the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame coach, and the stadium's named after him, the high school stadium. How were they different as far as being starkly two different kinds of guys? Would Hoss be a rougher kind of a guy?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. He was rough and tough. That's right. No finesse about Hoss. Daddy was about finesse.
Thinking, mental stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like Dub Jones, for instance, is just Revers Hoss Garrett. They're all those guys.
Right.
And then, people feel the same way about your father. He was a good buddy with Tony Sachs. Is that right?
Exactly. Yes.
Now, it's been explained to me for people who don't know who Tony Sachs was, that he was a Jewish man who came from Chicago.
Right.
Down here.
Right.
So there wasn't a lot of guys like him around.
Right.
And then your dad was from up north, but came down here, was raised down here.
Right.
But they were both book guys, and I think Dr. Garrett told me they like to go fishing together and stuff like that.
Well, they like to run them. They like to run together. Dad was not a strong fisherman, but he would go
To hang out with his
just to
friends.
hang out.
That's fascinating.
Like he would go to hang out with Ralph Jones at
From Grambling.
and they would go fishing.
Yeah, that
And
makes
Daddy
sense.
he'd just paddle.
Okay. And talk and figure out
That's
stuff.
right. Yeah,
So
that's
this
right.
weekend at Holy Cross, when y'all went, they said, "Hey, we're putting your dad in the Hall of Fame. Probably long overdue, but we thought about it to do it now because of why." What were some of the reasons he went into the hall down there that we wouldn't be aware of, and stuff you found out that you weren't aware of?
Well, it's stuff that I found out that he was an all sport letterman.
He played everything.
He played everything. He was in the glee club. He was in the choir. He sang solo with the men's choir. Good student. And
knew that part.
he just did everything that you would expect a young man to do. Probably did some things you wouldn't expect.
Well, he was a good-looking young man. I'm sitting here looking at a picture of him.
But we won't go there.
Okay. He wasn't in the Hall of Fame for those things.
No, not for those things.
I'm looking at a picture of him now, and again, we're at Mr. A's house over where he's retired on Preston. You lived here for a long time.
We moved here in the early 50s.
Awesome. You and Miss Dorothy. There's now, if you ride down Preston, you see a bunch of, you call them little mannequin people, they're little cutout plyboard people out there. It's a yard full of them.
Yes.
We got one, it's Christmas stuff. So we got one representing every IA that's on the move.
Right.
And you say you're two behind. One was born last week. Okay. Just hadn't been able to get them done yet.
Right, and one's coming in next week. And so,
Oh, good.
yeah. So
So we have another Christmas baby.
it's been fun, and the children help me put it up together every year. I try to slow it down, but they
won't let
They won't let me do
No, it's a joy riding down the street.
Yeah.
And
right.
seeing, there's also a Tech flag out there. There's a bunch of beautiful people on the ice box, pictures everywhere, and we're all proud of the A's, and I always love riding down this street at Christmas time. It's bowl season, and Tech's, of course, going to Hawaii, which, as we've discussed, is a long way over there and even longer back. But when you're a young guy like Emmanuel Turner or Ahmed Robertson, it's going to be a blast for them, and I'm thrilled that they're getting to go.
Yeah.
Now, you caught a lot of big football games. And back then, of course, the bowls there was going to be that one game that was going to decide everything. What's probably a couple of games that had the most riding on it that you officiated, the lead official on?
Well, I think probably you'd have to stay within the Southeastern Conference, and probably the one that was most heated, I guess you'd say, is Alabama and Auburn. When they used to play at Birmingham, and then
Before they went to home
they
side.
decided home and home. And I was in that game for several years, which was exciting. And the Florida-Georgia game, which was in Jacksonville, was always interesting because both student bodies were there and they were having a good time. So it's hard to say if there was one over the other, because come Saturday at noon, everybody.
And you're out there officiating the game. It's the same to you as in September and December,
Right.
or early January.
Right.
But you had to feel, well, you didn't have to, but did you feel a little extra when it was one of these Alabama Notre Dame things or something like that, a big bowl game that could decide the national champion?
Well, I had one of those, Teddy, and that was in Miami with Oklahoma and Penn State. And of all the others, I think that was the only true national.
That was going to be for the big enchilada.
That was for the big enchilada.
How did that game go from an officiating standpoint?
It went fine. I had the coach at Penn State didn't agree with the call that I had, but there was.
That would have been Coach Paterno, I'm guessing. Right.
Yes.
Did he tell? Did he voice his displeasure
Yes,
just like
he
that?
did.
I don't
Yes.
agree with that,
Yes.
Bob. And did you say, "Well, I'm sorry"?
Yeah.
And then the game went
And
on.
it went on, and we played.
These things happen.
And played, and Oklahoma won the ball game.
Okay.
And not as a result of that, but that I think was probably the one that was most focused on that I had worked into
Okay.
because of the Oklahoma and Penn State.
Yeah, that's story programs, right? With,
Right.
I remember this is before I knew you, but Bear Bryant is what I see in my head with a white shirt on and the cap, just laying into you about something, and I can't remember what ballpark it was in, and you're just kind of standing there like you're looking at me right now, which is just, whatever you need to say, get through saying it, and then we'll go and keep playing the game. Is that kind of how you try to keep your demeanor?
Yeah, yeah. They have their, they have their opinions.
Yeah,
and,
your dad was a coach, so you knew how it went.
right. I had dealt my cards.
Uh-huh.
We had to listen to him, but he was not. He was no more unreasonable than any of the other coaches. Mm-hmm. When you're getting your butt whipped, you
got to holler at somebody.
right. And but it was not.
Okay. Was there a particular program that may have been more foul-mouthed than any other in your 20-something years of calling?
I don't remember that
Okay,
it was.
Okay, that's a lie, but okay.
Yeah, I don't remember that there was.
Did funny stuff happen sometime and you started laughing? You'd overhear a guy say something, or one of your officials would screw up, or.
Well, not that I remember. I'm sure they are,
Sure
but I just can't. I can't reach back and.
It was a lot of
grab any of
fun,
it.
but it was a different kind of competition for you, wasn't it?
Right. Oh yeah, it's a different competition. And when you mentioned Bear Bryant, I had worked a number of games for Bear Bryant all over the conference,
Right.
and we had a good relationship. As far as that's concerned. He lost a game to Auburn in Birmingham one year. Auburn scored late in the game to go ahead like 23-21.
Okay.
They kicked off to Auburn. Auburn kicked off to Alabama, and there was about 8 or 10 seconds left in the ball game. Alabama took the kickoff. They were down on about the 22-yard line. And there was by that time, there was about 7 seconds left in the ball.
They're on their own 22.
They're on their own 22, behind. And here comes all the Auburn fans and band, the horses and the policemen and the whole business.
On the field.
The goalposts were going down. And
You're standing there in the middle of all it.
here we are with the ball, knowing what to do. I told my umpire, I said, we'll never get this thing off. I said, we'll never get it cleared, so I'm going to call it off. He said, don't you think you ought to say something to Coach Bryant about this? I said, that's a good idea.
Okay.
So we went to Coach Bryant,
And people are all around you right now.
oh
swarming
yeah,
everywhere.
you haven't wade through it. All the 75, 80,000 people there down on the field. And I told him, I said, Coach, this thing has gotten out of hand. We lost the goalpost. We got people all over said, I'm going to call it off. He said, looked up at the clock. He said, well, he said, you know, you screwed it up all afternoon. You ain't going to get no better than 7 seconds.
Thank you, sir.
I said, see you.
See you down the road.
See you.
Good for
So,
well, sometimes all you can do is laugh and go on. That's
there
right.
It is. There it is. So we did that. But, you know, I had fun.
You
I
could tell
enjoyed-
that you did when you called games. I always liked when you called them. I tried not to miss.
Right. I had good officials with me. I was fortunate.
And you got to see really good ball, too.
I did. Georgia, Georgia Tech. I saw some of the best teams going at that time.
Yeah.
With Vince Dooley and those folks.
How many years you officiate?
26.
Why did you get into it? You're through playing and wanted to compete in another way?
I was in high school, and I started in high school, and I went on into Gulf States Conference, moved on up, and then got into the Southeastern Conference. Now, let me tell you about how I got into the Southeast Conference. Oh,
We're looking around on the kitchen table for something.
yeah, looking around the kitchen table.
Here we go.
My daddy went to Holy Cross, and he and Johnny Lynch,
We're looking at a picture of Johnny Lynch now, graduating 26.
he graduated in 26
Yeah, Holy Cross. Okay.
at Holy Cross. Johnny got into the Southeastern Conference as a referee.
Ended up being the president of officials.
Right.
Okay.
And my name came up, and Johnny endorsed me to get into the conference.
I'll take that, yeah.
So
I'll take Joe's boy.
he and Daddy had been at
I'll be
Holy
doggone.
Cross that time. So
I'll be up.
I thought you'd like
That is, did your dad ever have any advice for you when
No.
you never said
No,
about
I
officiating?
never knew about Johnny
No.
Lynch. Johnny would work some ball games for Louisiana Tech. He'd ride the bus from New Orleans to Louisiana
To do a game?
to do it because of
Because his relationship with
his relationship. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
That's awesome. And your dad never said, look, son, now that you're going to be officiating, keep these things in mind. Just let you do it. And I guess he knew Johnny would take care of you, too. If you had questions, you go to him and ask him.
But Johnny didn't stay in the league maybe a couple years.
Okay.
And he was about ready to retire at that time. Because he was in the 25, and we're talking now 65.
Okay.
So he was,
And if the game's going to be Saturday at noon, you left Ruston depending on Thursday or Friday.
Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd be in the night before.
And you'd meet with your officials that night, and then meet the next morning, and here we go.
Yeah,
And then get home as quick as you could.
yeah. Yeah, you travel on your own.
Well, there's a couple more things. I'll let you go. We're drinking coffee, but I have to get up and get another cup, so we'll have to shut this down
Did
in a
you?
minute.
Okay.
Sir? Yeah. So we'll shut it down in a minute. The Grandstand,
I didn't figure on you for 2 cups of coffee.
yes, sir. The Grandstand Quarterbacks Club. What's the name of it?
Yeah,
So that club began with all the guys who left to go to war, 42 or 3. Coach I said, your scholarship will be here when you get back.
right.
Tech didn't have a ball team one of those years, I don't think. I think your dad actually coached basketball that
He
year.
did.
Son of a gun.
Right. He
So
did.
all y'all came back, and then those guys formed this. One of y'all came up with the name Grandstand.
Ed Jolly came up with that name.
It's a great name. And it's been around now for 70 years.
Yeah.
And there's still a few members of the club
Yeah.
who meet.
Not many.
You and Leo Sanford. another
Leo
one.
Sanford, Melvin Barney. We just lost one last week, Red Oakwine from down at Eunice. We lost another one. Carol Dowie's is still with us, and
Yes.
Rudolph Smith. And I think that's about it.
And this is a crew who husbands and wives would go on vacation. I mean, you're talking about a traveling family reunion basically
Yeah,
for
right.
years.
That's right.
That's
It did.
awesome.
We went a lot of different places together, and it was a good group. They played together, went off to service and came back and played again.
And moved to different parts, but when it came time to get together,
That's right.
everybody'd gather up.
Right.
You don't quit being a team just because you ran out of games to play.
Right. Right.
Well, speaking of going places, Hawaii, what do you think of the Tech, for one thing, stadium today, what they've done there at Joe I.E. State?
Well, I think it's tremendous. It's just tremendous what they've done with it stadium.
Who would have thought?
No.
Yeah, it makes you so proud that your school's able to step up and do
Right.
something like
Right.
that.
The Davison complex on the south end is a good step, and they're getting a lot of action from that facility that I don't think they really realized that they could do.
Yes, sir.
Then the sideline,
Yeah, the
boxes,
suites and the press
suites,
box.
that's tremendous.
We're doing this a couple days before the team leaves for Hawaii, but I was in the press box yesterday, and on the Chris Richardson level, they were setting up for an eating thing that night, and then they were going to have another one the next night, which would be tonight. They use it all the time.
Yeah.
It's a thing now.
Yeah, I don't think they realized
How popular.
the concept, how it would play into their activities.
It's used all the time.
Right.
Wish your dad could see it.
Yeah.
He would go,
Right.
gee, I need to get Tony Sachs and show him this play. What do you think about the program today, where we're at, and we'll move on to, so we'll go outside and walk around the yard and look at all these Christmas decorations.
I think the program is doing well. I'm disappointed in this year's program. There was some problems with the offense that I'm not quite sure I understand, and I'm not sure that they understand. But at any rate, it's not what I would expect from that group of athletes.
After you've seen them for 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah, they used to score a whole lot more points. It was real hard to accept not being able to score as much this year.
Yeah.
I think, now from the guys I've talked to, they should come out and play like their hair's on fire next Saturday, because I think they're thoroughly, actually embarrassed at the way the season ended. And playing those 10 straight weeks might have caught up with them regardless. This is a great opportunity in a bowl game for them to, kind of turn the tide a little bit and get this going in the right direction.
I'm not sure that a ball game in Hawaii is the proper venue
To
for
get it going. Yeah, fortunately, the Bulldogs have been able to play close the last 4 years.
Yes.
We could drive to the game, and
Yeah.
this will be a good reward for them. I just hope they make the most of it, and I hope they have fun while they're out there, but I have to make the most of it.
Yes.
Because other teams trying to win too.
Right. I was pleased with the Ferguson boy. He is he's a fine example of a good athlete, and
Got his degree.
Got his degree.
Got better all the time.
Right.
I talked to his mother today. Her name is Miss Jackie. I said, was there ever a question of him not playing in this game to protect his investment? She said, oh, no, we never even talked about that, because he's not going to not play.
Yeah.
If there's any way to help the team, he's going to help the team.
Yeah.
You got to appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Thank you, Teddy.
And thanks for all you mean to your university and your family. And I'll let you go now, because you got 2 more little Christmas yard decorations to build.
but I won't do it today. I don't even have my lights up on my tree yet.
Oh, well, we can make that happen in no time.
I figured you were coming in here so you could help me.
Yeah, we're going to get right to that. You got a ladder and like a 6-pack of beer, and we'll get right on. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next podcast.
See you.